Hi, Commissioner Intagliata. This is Nancy Walsh. How are you doing? Oh, you're muted.
Good, Nancy. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
I'm a little confused by some emails, whether or not President Bradley and Miss Ortman or anyone else is supposed, whether this work group has questions for them, but I
Yeah,
assume Christine, Commissioner Ingrassia is going to jump in soon.
right. In real time, we just answered these questions, and I believe that we do not need to discuss these things with Rich or Pat, although because obviously what we were asking them about has never happened in their memory. So I think we're fine. So, but the
Okay.
Commissioner Riley, I think, Commissioner Nancy Walsh just wanted to know, it seems like through our email that we've decided not to ask this question because what we were going to ask about has never happened. So this was the email trail today.
About special tax bills.
Yeah. Rich, how are you?
I'm good, Scott. Good to see you again.
Good. What was it? So Rich, let's see, we were 8 or 9, so 50 plus years ago, we were on the same baseball team, which your father coached, by the way. So
Which you might be thinking about my brother. He's a couple years older than me, but we both did go to Immaculate Heart, and Scott lived on Morgan Ford in the barn, and I lived around the block on Sharp. So I
you did
remember well.
indeed. Yeah, no, and by the way, your dad was a hell of a guy, just really a good coach and just a good person in general, and taught us a great deal about the game, which was fantastic, and just a nice man. So
Thank you. And a previous city employee, as was his dad, and as was his dad. So I have a lot of work to do to keep up with that heritage, you know.
And let me introduce you to Anthony Riley. Rich, Anthony's been on the Charter Commission, a fellow commissioner, and it's just been a pleasure to get to know as well. So
good afternoon, sir. Nice to
Rich,
meet you.
nice to meet you, sir.
Anthony, as you can tell, Rich and I are from the same old neighborhood, so we could tell lots of stories, but we won't. The probably for the best.
We might have went to the same high school too, if I'm not mistaken. So
I believe we did, which we'll leave that topic away as well, because quite frankly, Rich, after 1979, the quality of attendees went way down.
I was kind of hoping after 1983 they went way down, but somewhere in there, I guess.
I think at that window, clearly, really it's gone downhill from there. When we went there, by the way, 50% of the students were from St. Louis City.
Yes, they were.
I think it's 10% now.
Yeah, you know, I was on the facility committee up there for 14 years. I stepped off a little over a year and a half ago. And it was still fulfilling to do all the things we did up there, but I will tell you that it is slightly different than the mix that, you know, you're talking about, and you know that.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, you know.
Well, when we went there, you maybe had 1 or 2 kids from St. Charles, and now, like, you know, it's like at my reunion, which I'll have again. It's like they're like, oh yeah, you know, a third of the kids are from St. Charles County. It's like, holy man, I couldn't have driven to St. Charles County when I was a kid.
When we were kids, we didn't even know St. Charles County existed. It was too far away.
And once you got north of Arsenal, it was over for me. So, yeah.
Which high school are y'all talking about?
St. Louis U High.
Okay. Yeah, I have lots of those folks in my family. My youngest is a sophomore there now.
Tell them, don't let the Jesuits give them a hard time, okay?
I'm going to tell them what you said about the quality of the students.
Oh, well, he'll say the same thing 50 years from now, so no problem.
And my husband and his father.
There
Oh,
you go.
there we go.
So Scott, Nancy's daughter, I believe, goes to Coriezu, right, Nancy?
She graduated last spring and now she's at Iowa.
There we go. My daughter went to Coriezu as well, and she's getting married in September, so it's a small world.
Wow.
Fantastic, fantastic to you both. My wife was a 1985 graduate of Coriezu.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
You know, I didn't have a voice, so I couldn't send him to SLU, so I did the best that I could, which was fine, you know.
outstanding.
Yep.
Rich,
So
you
we do have one attendee, Nancy Thompson is listening in, just to let you know, I'll double check. I think that's the only one I saw, and I don't know, does anybody know if Commissioner Intagliata is, Ingrassia is coming? Or if Commissioner Sheridan is coming?
I don't know about Commissioner Sheridan. I think that Commissioner Riley and I are on. I think what we established is Christine had done some back and forth with Rich and his department, and they had never seen any special taxing item in their memory, which is fairly long at this point. But I guess what if Commissioner Riley's still on, what I would ask Rich is, are there charter changes or amendments that you think would be helpful? And if you're not prepared to talk about them today, if you'd like to send Commissioner Riley and I and Commissioner Sheridan through Christine and Gracia a list, we would be glad to then follow up with a substantive meeting about those thoughts. So,
Well, I can do both, but first of all, I guess as far as this public works special assessments, which is Article 23, special tax bills. So, you know, I've been a city employee for 36 years now, and I've been in this seat, my fourth appointment under 3 mayors. So I'm 15 years in the seat, and I have never even heard of this before. So I polled my staff. I have a gentleman on my staff that's been here close to 50 years. He has never heard of it as well. So also Pat Ortman and Mark Stopp, we talked a couple times about it. They are not familiar with it. So I just have to be very, very honest. I looked through the cases and they all look very old. So I don't know even really what it's referring to. I can't quite get the gist of it, but it doesn't seem like anything even close to anything we would do today.
that's helpful. So, and whether it's in the charter, because I think we're gonna have a limited amount of things we can change. I don't know if pulling something out is important as, getting things amended. So, but if we pulled it out, you're saying it would have no impact to you.
Not that I'm aware of, but I see
Right.
Pat has her hand up, so maybe she wants to add to that.
It's really hard to hear you, so I'm just in case I get something messed up. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, hear you great.
Okay. So the collector of revenue does nothing with a special tax bill currently at all. I do know of some special tax bills that have been done through the law department and certified through the comptroller and liens put on properties. But the collector has nothing to do with it. I do know that we are, the problem properties is with the law department is currently trying to work on getting special tax bills done on ARPA funds that are on real estate and on fees and fines. And then I think SLDC also is working on special tax bills. And then they have them certified through the comptroller and can record them. So if this is to eliminate that, I think it would be very smart that you wait, because it is something that someone is starting to utilize to be able to collect monies due to the city of St. Louis.
It's a very helpful point, Pat. Thank you. And quite frankly, with all the things we're recommending, something that may not be beneficial is we probably won't even try to attempt it, although the commissioners will talk about it. We will certainly bring this information back to the larger group. Okay.
Okay.
And we will pursue with Sheena Hamilton as well, because it sounds like that's something that she's quite involved in. So perhaps she can give us some insight into it.
And it's kind of funny. I just got a special tax bill from Maya Woods. She is the problem property attorney. So she would be a good one for you to reach out to.
Great.
And the other one is, hold on one second, I'm sorry. The other one is Laura Jen. I work closely with her, and she's in SLDC.
Great. All right. Well, that is very helpful, and it gives us folks to reach out to. And again, we would do that with Commissioner Ingracia would probably set that up along with the city councilor's office. So that's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Good.
So I do have, I have prepared some thoughts on some charter changes. And I will also, if I just walk through them with you guys, I will also just email this document to Christine and Gracia and ask her to please give it to you, gents, so you can read it in detail. So they're more or less relatively simple comments, but first of all, Article 13, Section 1, creation and composition of the Board of Public Service. In that Section 1, it talks about the Director of Welfare and the Director of Health in hospitals. And my comment is that references to welfare and hospitals are no longer appropriate. So that just changes their titles to what they are today. The next one is the same article, Section 3, designation of deputies. And what it says in there is the Board of Public Service may designate any officer in any department under said board to act as a deputy. My comment is the word should be rather an officer omitted and an employee, because that word officer is a little bit confusing as to what it actually is. The charter refers to the appointees as officers, but I believe we appoint deputies that are actual city employees.
Very good.
The next
Okay.
one is, and stop me anytime you guys want, but these are pretty straightforward. Department of Public Utilities under Section 10, powers and duties. It talks about he shall have charge of the supervision of the city lighting and municipal electrical lighting plants and electrical lighting equipment in city buildings. That is actually just needs to be omitted because the street lights are actually handled by the street department now. And actually the electrical equipment in city buildings is handled by my facilities management division. So you just drop that last sentence out of there. It makes it in compliance with what it is today.
Very good.
Okay, Article 22, Public Works and Improvements, Section 4, how contracts are to be let. It talks about advertise for bids in a paper or papers. The city publishes 3 times. The last publication to be at least 10 days before day appointed for opening of bids. And my comment is we do all this, but it is extremely expensive to advertise in papers. So the city may want to take the opportunity to modify how bids are advertised and not necessarily just rely on newspaper as the only method, it's very costly. And there's a lot of other ways we advertise, for example, the BPS and city websites and all the city of St. Louis construction plan room. So there are a lot of other vehicles out there today electronically to advertise bids. And I, I don't even know how many people actually read the hard paper. And when we're talking about advertising for bids, literally, you're talking could be $2 or $3 or $4,000 to advertise for a bid, and it's just very, very cost prohibitive and doesn't seem smart to me with all the vehicles we have today.
Very good. That's very helpful.
Article 22, Public Works Improvements, how contracts to be let. This is an important one. So in there, it says the said board shall let the work by contract to the lowest responsible bidder on plans and specifications finally adopted, except as herein otherwise provided, first requiring a bond to be approved by it and the comptroller. And so that is referred to in the construction industry as design, bid, build. And that is an old way to do things. Now, I will tell you, we do it every day of the week on all sizes of contracts. However, what happens is, like at the convention center, where we had a $250 million project down there, we put this thing out for design, bid, build, and we got one bid. And we did because today there are a lot of alternative delivery methods. So what I'm going to say next is that even though I am a big believer in design, bid, build for government work, for doing streets and sidewalks and other things, for major large projects like the convention center or like the airport, which is going to be about $2.8 billion, and my office will handle all those contracts. What I said is I'd like to add a sentence behind the lowest responsible bid that says, the president of the Board of Public Service shall have the discretion to employ alternative and acceptable industry standard project delivery methods for project contracting on technically challenging projects. And so again, referring to consistent with the CMAR construction manager at risk delivery method that we will attempt to employ at the airport for the terminal and parking garage. And this is also in conjunction with Missouri state law. So it's something that everybody does except us because the charter is old school. And so again, I would utilize the other methods on daily stuff unless I had a very big, difficult project that had a lot of moving parts. And so like with CMAR, a contract design and construction firm comes in, they work with the city to come up with what's called a GMP, a guaranteed maximum price. And so what happens is that they have to deliver the project within that cost and within that budget, as opposed to design, bid, build, where you may get changed ordered to death and you really have no control of the ultimate destiny of the cost of the project. So it really is something that I would ask we really think about. And that is actually all I have. When I went through with my staff, of course, you can nitpick ifs, ands, and does and all kind of things like that. But I think these handful of things that I picked here, just make some changes that are obvious, and they try to attempt to save the city some money and get bids out in a better manner. And in the last one is to, be able to allow us to build things, more cost effective, higher quality, industry standard, and get more people competing for it rather than one contractor on a $250 million project.
And Rich, which section was that?
The last one is, let's see, Article 22, and it is Section 4, how contracts are to be let.
Great.
And I'll
And-
send this to Christine, and it quotes the section, the article, the section, the verbiage, and then in red, I highlight the issue, and then I give the comment on what I'm recommending.
And Rich, would you be open if invited? I think that these are substantial. So first off, thank you. But particularly on that last one, just because of the sheer dollars involved, would you be prepared to attend our regular monthly meeting, so it'd be May, the first Monday, I think, at 7 p.m. in the Kennedy Room. Would you be willing to get on the agenda and come and testify and talk about that issue?
Sure. Absolutely.
That's great. Good. Well, and that may or may not happen, but I think it's
Right.
sizable and consequential enough that we'd love to hear your views on it and the positives and negatives to it as well, you know, if there
Of
are.
course. And
Right.
like I said, at the end of the day, the state allows for it. St. Louis County is working on an ordinance or a charter change right now to instill it within the county. Because really what happens is on large projects, you're just hand tied by the old process. And so, you know, you still can write in there all the requirements for M and W, the, you know, prevailing wage, a bond and insurance, all the things that are there. But what you really do is you transfer the liability to the construction, the CMAR team. And so it really becomes their risk rather than the city's.
Perfect. That's great. Good. Thank you so much. Commissioner Riley, do you have any questions for Rich or Pat here?
Rich, thank you for your testimony, your feedback. I don't have any questions. Your presentation was clear. My thought, Scott, is for you, for us as a commission, that perhaps there's a way to combine these aspects of the charter that don't match current practice, so it doesn't appear as if we're having 15 amendment changes as opposed to an updating of language to meet, again, current practice. And somehow we can language it and message it to the community in that way, as opposed to we have 15 changes, because there are several areas where you've heard testimony across the commission of simply need to update language. But no, thank you, Rich, for your time today.
Good.
Absolutely. Glad to do it, gents.
Great. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate all your hard work. Anthony, do you have anything else you want to go over today? I do have a handout for us this evening. I compiled our changes so we can bring them to the meeting tonight. Do you think 50 copies is enough?
I think that will be plenty. Yes.
All right, no problem. Good. And
Just-
I'll print out a copy of the charter as well, just so we can refer to it if we need to.
Does Pat have anything to add?
Pat, do you have anything?
Pat, you're muted. If you're talking, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I pushed the screen down too far and had to pull it up. No, I don't have any questions or anything to add.
Thank you for your time as well, Pat. Appreciate you.
Great.
More than happy.
Great. So, Anthony, if there's nothing else, what time will you be getting to the Institute tonight?
I will not be there tonight. We have a Monday, Thursday worship at
Okay.
Central, and so I'll be at work.
All right. Well, look, I won't see you, so have a terrific weekend and a very happy Easter to you.
Thank you. The same to you. Looking forward to our next public meeting.
I'll see you Monday. Take care, everybody.
sir. Take
Thank
care.
you all very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Everyone have a great holiday and
Thanks.
safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.